Hello and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to go through a latch replacement on a Volkswagen EOS. The latch in question is the one that connects to the rear window, such that when the rear window raises and is stored on top of the roof, it pushes the lever all the way here and unlocks it from the windscreen frame. If we want to have a look at the part, it's this one over here. So that's where it connects to the rear window. It pushes a cable all the way through, such that it operates the mechanism here and unlocks it from the windscreen frame. The part number of this is 1Q0871662. We're going to start off by unlocking the roof. One thing to note here is that the rear glass will raise, but it will be skewed because the lever is jammed. So the intention is to just open it for now in order to get access to the bolts. So we'll press down the big silver button. Sunroof is going to go back. And the pump operates. It unlocks the rear glass. And as the glass goes up, you see straight away it's not going up correctly. But now the glass is unlocked, we can get in and start stripping the vehicle. So we need to remove this trim panel here, and there's a couple of bolts at the back here which hold this panel into position. So I'm going to start by removing the top head lining. Unclip that, pull it forward, clip it on this side, pull that forward, and do the same here. Yeah, just pull that, just peel it off. Okay, you can now see there's one bolt here and there's another one at the back, which hopefully can spot from here. So that's just over there. So what we need to do is actually remove this bolt here. So unfortunately, as we've removed this bolt, it's actually snapped. So we're going to need to drill and retap that. But now we can access the bolts for the side linings. So we'll just remove them. One at the back. Let's take the washer off. And the second one's just here. Okay, so now that's loose, you should be able to just unclip the lining and slide it forward. So we'll unclip it on this side here at the front, right, and then unclip it where the channel is. I can just get in, just over here. Okay, and then slide it forward, because then that comes out of the groove here. Now this lining is loose, we'll get further access to the actual latch assembly. As we're going to be removing the roof guide channel here for the sunroof, we need to make sure we set it back in the original position. So you need to measure this at this point here, which is 1036 millimeters, and also at the back. Now it's a bit hard to do this single-handedly, but on the inside to inside channel, that's I'll line the camera up, so it's 1036 millimeters. Now this you need to write down because you'll need this later. In order to unlock this from the windscreen frame, I've used a little lever here, and I've got it behind here. And I've just levered it over such that you can see that's free off the windscreen. I'm now going to try again and lift this glass to see if I can get it up and on top of the roof frame. We've now managed to lift the rear glass up and just stepped it up nice and parallel as the pump bypass valve is not open. And this is the lever in question. You can see that's already, you can see the lever, it's actually bent that way to the left and then to the right. We're going to remove this bolt now, and let's take this lever out so it takes all the pressure off the system, and then we can look at opening the roof further. The roof is now in the service position, where we can proceed to releasing this section in order to get the lock out. I've also just taken off a tension cord screw here so that this panel just sits neatly, and we'll now proceed to remove all the bolts to get the top trim off. So we've removed the bolts for this trim, and also detached the weather strip that was bonded to here. Make sure you make a note of all the bolts because they are different lengths. And I've also peeled back the drain, which I just left here. And I've supported the roof guide here just with a piece of timber because that's loose. We're now in a position where we can remove the outer cover so that we can access the lock. Not forgetting there's a cable tie here which connects this drain. So just cut that cable tie and detach that from the drain. The side panel is now out. We had to lift the rear glass and slide it out. Here's a panel on the floor here. We can now see the lock in question. So it starts at the front, runs along here, clipped in here on the sunroof guide. There's a screw here, wiring plug here, and this is where it's lined up. Now this lever is bent, so we're going to need to get this lever out and straighten it. The lock is now out. We had to cut it in the middle in order to be able to move the rear slider so we can get to two pop rivets at the back. Look at the vehicle again. Here's the two rivets at the back that we drilled out. Also, we removed the lever that actuates it. This was bent, so we've straightened this now. There's still a bit of a bend here, so we'll straighten that further. We're now in a position to finish drilling these out and then install the new lock. We've got the replacement lock back in position now, and had to move the lock slider to the left all the way in order to get the two rivets back in. We'll now proceed to tighten the screw over here. You're then going to seat this panel back on. Now remember, you've got to lift that rear glass up and slide the panel over. Before you do that, don't forget to put the wiring plug in for the sensor. I forgot to record that part. And then also connect the drain line back. I need to put the cable tie there. Then when you come around to this side, take the lock and feed it in so it's sitting on this arm. And then you can put the one bolt in. There's one bolt just over here, that just here, over here, where the lock holes onto here, onto the side panel. And then once that's in, we'll start putting the sunroof guide back on. Now the actual sunroof guide, you've got to feed it at the front and line it up with the existing holes. Now obviously you can't see the holes, but you can see the marks of where the adjustment screw was sitting on the existing bracket. So pop that in, and not forgetting to clip it in over here. If I can get the light in properly, let's see if we can hold it here. Not forgetting to clip it in just over there, back onto the lock assembly. So the weather strip we've glued back down now, along here. And now we're ready to refit this. Now we had to remove this to get access for the weather strip. So this one, it hooks in at the bottom here. So you pull it forward and then you can pull it out. I'm just going to reseat this seal. You can then bring the roof forward, making sure the sunroof guide lines up correctly, and once the roof docks onto the windscreen frame, then close the sunroof. Now what that will do is effectively bring the guide back exactly where you need it, and then you can start nipping all these bolts up. When the bolts are all tight, check your measurement again, and we were 1036 front and rear. That means your sunroof guide is back in position. We then reinstall the 8mm nut over here, and the next part now is to get those two 10mm nuts in over here. But starting off, we have to lock this onto the front of the windscreen frame and close the roof fully. The roof is now closed and docked at the front frame, as well as the rear glass being down, the tailgate being closed. I've had to use a lever and push the new lock assembly there all the way back, such that it's locked at the front here correctly. You can see here the trigger plate for the sensors in position. This is when you now install the two 10mm nuts over there that are on the lever. Now the best way to tighten these nuts is do that one first, then install and tighten this one. We've now reinstalled the trims. look from inside. Remembering this trim here, you slide it backwards such that it goes over the hook, and then you've got 2 bolts at the back over here, which you can see, one here and one behind. Then clip this front part in, and then also we re-drilled and removed the old bolt and replaced this bolt. So that's back in here, and then fit the roof lining back on. And now we're in a position to give the roof a go. So pressing the roof open button, sunroof goes back, rear glass lifts up. Note this is parallel now. And as it does that, it unlocks it at the front windscreen frame. Tailgate swings out and roof stows away. And there you have it. That's how to replace a catch on a Volkswagen EOS. We hope you found our video useful, and if you did, please hit like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.